Well, some light showers are expected through the overnight hours, and this comes with a weak wave of moisture, so we're nowhere near done with this active weather pattern. And several changes are expected through the rest of this work week and this weekend. Hey everyone, I'm Chief Meteorologist Darrell Winninger from the Central Oregon Daily Weather Center, and we're about to take a deep dive into your most reliable forecast. Take a moment and just figure out what's going to happen, let you know how it's going to impact us, when and if precipitation is expected, and if that's going to be a little bit of snow. So buckle up, we're about to jump into this, and right now across Central Oregon we have a whole lot of cloud cover. We even have some sprinkles pushing through, but we're going to put the rain aside just for a minute and talk about a few other things. There were several prescribed burns that were planned for today, in fact 4 of them, and they did go off without a hitch. Winds have been a little breezy at times, but we haven't heard any reports of anything bad happening with those prescribed burns. One of them is just outside of Camp Sherman at 50 acres, another one south of Sisters at 30 acres, and one just around and just to the east of just to the west of 3 Rivers, and that's 8 acres. The big one is just to the northeast of Lapine, where they've been doing a lot of their prescribed burns this season at 111 acres. But as of right now, we don't have too much of a dip in our air quality. Earlier this afternoon, several of those real-time sensors from eSpace were showing yellow or moderate air quality, and there were a few moments, a few of the reports where the hourly average from the DEQ, that's the base map color that you see right there, that was showing spots of moderate air quality as well. But as of right now, it seems to be improving. Winds are a little stronger and out of the northwest, and we don't have much in the way of smoke plumes, but we are seeing it in a few of our cameras. Now let's talk about the rain. Here through this afternoon, clouds started to increase. Huge change up from what we had this morning. We started off with sunshine and chilly conditions, but right now we do have some scattered light showers pushing in, some of that almost making it to the 97 corridor. Now remember, we are in a radar desert, so it doesn't quite pick up everything that we're seeing, and some of this could be sprinkles as well, and that's basically because we have a super dry air mass over the Tri-County area, over Central Oregon, and sometimes when rain starts to fall, it evaporates before it hits the surface. That's called virga, and it happens quite often, especially in the desert, right, the high desert. But here through this evening, this afternoon going into the evening, we've been seeing some of that, but scattered light showers are expected through the next couple of hours, with a little bit of mountain snow that we can see there, mostly in the highest elevations though. Now when we look at a little bit more at the bigger picture, throw in some clouds, we can see that really since about noon to 1 we started to see those clouds roll in, and the showers are just pushing into the high desert. All of this well in advance of a cold front. That cold front over the Pacific Ocean is already starting to fizzle out, and it's going to continue to fizzle out through the day Friday. So we are looking at a break between systems tomorrow. However, there will be some in and out clouds and a very low chance of any sprinkles at all starting tomorrow, and these showers are expected to continue through the rest of this evening. Looking at the bigger picture and switching gears, what we have here is enhanced infrared satellite imagery, and the enhancement just really shows where we have those super tall clouds, where those reds are. Now outside of that, there's a whole bunch of lines on here. Those are all isobars, and those isobars help us with wind speeds. It also helps us pick out where we have a low pressure over the Gulf of Alaska, and then there's a broad ridge of high pressure over the central Pacific Ocean. But let's zoom in. When these isobars are tightly packed together, that's where you have strong winds, and they typically follow the flow of whatever feature. So with a low pressure, we have the counterclockwise rotation. Winds are still pushing through the high desert, and they are breezy as some of these showers are pushing into the region. But let's back out. Let's look at the bigger picture. Keep those isobars on there, and what we see is that broad ridge of high pressure out over the Pacific. Unfortunately, that's really not going to impact us until next week, because north of that high pressure, we have several waves of moisture. The cold front that's pushing through right now, and another system just above the camera where you can see me, that's going to continue to develop and push into the region as well. On top of that, over Southern California at the tail end of this cold front. This is the same system that's been producing severe weather over Minnesota and the Midwest. The tail end of that cold front, there's going to be a spin-off low over the southwestern U.S., and that pushes north into our region. It's already started to develop. You can see where there's starting to be a little bit of rotation between California and California and New Mexico. It's going to push through Nevada and into the Pacific Northwest. northwest. That happens later on. Through the day Friday is when we really start to see that development. But for today, temperatures, look at this. They topped out in the last 24 hours in the 60s with a few 50s on the map. Some of those are holdovers from yesterday, but right now we've already seen quite a bit of cooling because of these showers that are rolling in. And so temperatures are in the 50s with 60 degrees in Warm Springs. But that represents a range in temperatures that's running between 5 degrees cooler and 4 degrees warmer than it was this time yesterday. Basically, where it's a lot cooler than it was yesterday, that's where we've already started to see those showers pushing through, and some sprinkles and showers are going to continue into tonight, but not through the whole night. We start to see some clearing during the AM hours, and temperatures dip through the 40s, reaching into the 30s. By tomorrow, we have a gradual warm up, and we're still going to be running a little below that average high of 69 degrees. However, puts us a little bit closer than we were today. So we still have an unsettled weather pattern. Now we're going to look at a forecast model that's a little different than I always show on air. This one uses geopotential heights, and what it does for meteorologists is it helps us bullseye those features so we can really see over the Pacific Ocean, basically behind the camera, that you see that orange with the clockwise rotation. That is a ridge of high pressure, and over the Gulf of Alaska, that's an area of low pressure. Now, this is important because it's going to help us understand what's going to happen through the next couple of days. Also see some streamlines on there. Those are basically wind directions. I also threw on frontal analysis just to help keep us ahead of what's actually going on. So through Friday, that fizzling cold front really starts to fizzle out over the Pacific Northwest, mostly as it's making landfall, that it begins to interact with the Cascades. For us, on the high desert, we're looking at more clouds, in and out cover. So times of sunshine, and this is our break between systems. And the only reason we even have those in and out clouds is because of that weak front that's fizzling out. Now there's a very low chance that there will be a few sprinkles, but it's very low. Then we're turning our attention to this low that at this point is going to be over the Nevada-California state line, pushing north. Now it's going to continue to roll north and then start to recurve off to the east. But this is going to be our next big weather maker, and this is going to couple with another low. The low that's over the Gulf of Alaska starts to roll inland, then dips into the Pacific Northwest. This happens at the same time. And as this happens, we have a double barrel low pressure system. And what that really means for us is we have two features that are acting against each other. And over central Oregon, we're looking at more rain. It's going to be scattered showers, and I'll show you that forecast model here in just the next couple of minutes. But we also have a little bit of convection possible, and that could lead to some afternoon thunderstorm development. And it's not atypical with this type of situation. However, winds are still going to be much stronger. There's going to be a bigger drop in temperatures. Highs are only going to be in the 50s with few 60s. So that's our next cool down. And then Sunday is our rebound day. That low pressure pushes out of the area. We start to see clearing late in the day. But I want to roll this back just a little bit for you and look at this once again. We'll start at Saturday and go through Sunday. Watch what happens to those showers. Overnight, we get a transition as that next low moves into the Pacific Northwest. We go from rain to snow showers. That's mostly going to be snow in the Cascades, but some snow in the lower elevations is going to be possible. Light totals at best at this point, but that could change as we get a little closer to when this system is going to be pushing through. And it's not until late Sunday and Sunday night that we really start to see some clearing. Now what that means for us is that we have roller coaster temperatures again. And on the backside of Sunday system, there's two more systems after tonight's sprinkles and showers. We have one Saturday night going into Sunday, and that's going to trigger the bigger drop in temperatures. I'm staying conservative with these numbers on Saturday and Sunday. I could go cooler, especially on Sunday. Some of the forecast models, the long-range models, are hinting at either side of 50 degrees instead of mid to upper 50s. And we'll really shape out that forecast as we get through the day tomorrow. I want to see a couple more runs of how that second system is going to push through the Pacific Northwest, and where and when we're going to look at those snow chances, and I'll show you those in just a little bit, so hold on with me. Then by Monday, we have a huge jump in temperatures. The warm front of our next system pushes through, knocks us into the mid to upper 60s with a few 70s possible. Then a weak cold front brings some sprinkles Monday night going into Tuesday, and it slows down our warming trend. So let's go ahead and look at that traditional forecast model. This is the one that you typically see on air, with rain and cloud cover, or I should say precipitation and cloud cover, as well as the surface analysis and streamlines. So here through this evening, we have that cold front that's bearing down on the Pacific Northwest. Let's dive in. Let's take a closer look. By 7 o'clock, scattered showers, still pushing through the high desert. Now for some of us, this is just going to be sprinkles. For others, it's going to move through quickly. Some of us, I don't think, are even going to get wet from this, and it's just going to be a hit and miss game, basically, where that virga is, and it actually doesn't evaporate before it hits the surface, and we actually get a little precipitation. Now, by tonight at 11 p.m., we start to see those showers, those sprinkles clear the area, but we still have some clouds. Through the overnight hours, in and out clouds. By Friday, the weak cold front is going to be fizzling out over the Pacific Northwest. That gives us the instability we need for clouds, keeps rain chances low, and also keeps it pretty cool. But we are bumping our temperatures up into the mid-60s, so closer to average, just not quite there. And then fast forward through the rest of Friday, and Friday night we start to see the impacts of this system to our south. That low pressure that's developing over Southern California and New Mexico, that begins to, Southern California and a little further off to the east, that begins to push to the north, and as it does, we get showers. Now, there's a chance of some convection. There's a chance that we could get a few thunderstorms during the afternoon, but there's also a really good chance of in and out cloud cover, making it not quite a washout on Saturday, but we are going to expect to see some of those clouds coming and going. Winds are going to be breezy, even gusty for many of us. And then here through the night, Saturday night going into Sunday, we get that transition from rain to snow showers. And with that transition, a few light totals are going to be possible, but they'll be few and far between. By Sunday, we start to clear out late, and then that next system begins to impact us right here across the Pacific Northwest. So let's look at a different forecast model. This is a more long-range model, and it takes us all the way through the 7-day planner, but since it's not a high-resolution model, it has a lot of biases to it. And so we're taking this with a grain of salt, but it helps paint the picture of what's going to happen as we go forward. So starting on Sunday, we have that warm front just offshore, a cold front further behind that. The warm front pushes through it. On Monday, we're mostly sunny with increasing clouds during the PM hours, and temperatures pick up significantly. By Monday night going into Tuesday, that weak cold front pushes through and a few sprinkles are possible, but by Tuesday afternoon, we're back to sunshine, and we get that little dip in temperatures. By Wednesday, in and out clouds, same thing on Thursday, but more sunshine is expected, and this is when temperatures are Wednesday and Thursday, when temperatures are expected to be a lot higher, further into the upper 60s and even into the 70s. So ultimately, we're expecting a big warm up, but late in the 7-day planner. Between now and 7 a.m., the high resolution forecast model shows most of us get wet with a little bit of mountain snow. But let's time this out and switch gears. We're going to go with a forecast model that's not as high resolution, but it's been nailing those snow totals all the way through the winter and this spring. So by Sunday at 11 p.m., it does look like we're expecting most of the high desert to be wet, and a lot of this happens on Saturday, some of it tonight. And there is going to be a little bit of maybe a dusting for parts of the high desert, but more mountain snow is expected. And the snow shower activity is going to happen Saturday night going into Sunday. Now, winds. Already today, it's been gusty with gusts as high as 30 to 35 miles per hour. Not as strong right now. The gusts between 19 and 25 miles per hour, and actual wind speeds are 10 to 20 miles per hour, all still coming out of the northwest. That's a direction we're really familiar with, and earlier today, that northwest flow brought some of that smoke from a few of those prescribed burns right into the Tri-County area. Now, winds have been breezy for the last couple of hours. The white line right here, that's your now line. Everything to the left of it is observed. Everything to the right of it is forecast, and tonight we're forecast to have tapering winds after sunset, bringing us back down to a gentle breeze. Friday, not too bad at all. The light breeze expected on the high desert, but Saturday it gets breezy and even gusty at times. Remember, Saturday is when that system that's developing over the southwestern U.S. moves north through California and Nevada into the Pacific Northwest. That's when we're getting wet. It's also when we're looking at in and out clouds, and that's also pull pedal paddle. So keep that in mind if you're doing the relay. Now for tonight, we're looking at temperatures falling into the 30s with a few 40s. Friday brings us back into the 60s with a very low chance of a few sprinkles. They'll be few and far between. And then Saturday, that's the wet day, also brings a lot of cooling with stronger winds. Sunday, still cooler, some AM snow showers, but clearing by the evening. After that, more sunshine than clouds. We get that weak system Monday night. And then by Wednesday and Thursday, we are back into the 70s. That's the latest in weather. Here's a quick rundown of those weather headlines for this Thursday, May the 15th. some showers tonight, more wet on Saturday with a break between systems Friday, and then we get that weekend weather flip with more sunshine and warming. Next week, that flip happens on Sunday. That's the latest in weather for now. Join us in just a few minutes on ABC, and then again on CBS at 6 and 7. We'll also be live at 11 o'clock on ABC and CBS. We'll see you then.